In that pivotal moment, as the priest raised the Eucharist, an otherworldly light enveloped the church, igniting hearts with an unexplainable warmth. Gasps echoed through the congregation as whispers of a miracle began to intertwine with fervent prayers, a heartbeat resonating in perfect harmony with their collective hope. Would this extraordinary encounter be the divine touch they'd longed for, transcending doubt and darkness? To understand how they reached this breathtaking climax, we must go back to the beginning. This was just the beginning of the plan. Before we get to the full story, take a moment to subscribe and comment where you're from. The sun dipped low over the quaint village of Gruaro, its golden rays glinting off the aged stones of the small church, a sanctuary that held centuries of prayer and devotion. Nestled in this town, Carlo Acutis, a 15-year-old boy from Milan, embarked on a passionate quest to uncover the profound significance of the Eucharist. With his insatiable curiosity and a deeply rooted faith, he saw the world through a lens of wonder, always seeking to connect the divine to the visible. Carlo spent countless hours in the church, his hands tracing the intricate carvings that adorned the altar. Each symbol told a story. Each flicker of candlelight whispered secrets of the past. He felt a magnetic pull toward the miracle that had occurred in Gruaro, a transformation that transcended the ordinary, stirring an intense desire within him to understand the depths of this sacred event. As he delved into the records of miraculous happenings, Carlo discovered the tale of the miraculous Eucharistic heart, a phenomenon that sparked his imagination and deepened his fervor for the faith he cherished. Meanwhile, within the church's stone walls, a storm brewed. Padre Vitalis, a young priest plagued by doubt, grappled with his own convictions. The weight of his responsibilities pressed down upon him like the leaden sky outside. He had entered the priesthood with dreams of bringing souls closer to God, but the reality of his calling felt burdensome. Each Mass became a battle against whispering doubts that clouded his heart. On this particular Sunday, as the congregation began to gather, the atmosphere was thick with anticipation. Families filled the pews, faces set in devotion, yet a palpable restlessness simmered beneath the surface. Carlo, seated among the faithful, sensed the tension in the air. His heart raced as whispers of hope intertwined with fear danced through the church. He figured that today might be different, perhaps a moment that would shift the spiritual landscape of Gruaro forever. Padre Vitalis stood behind the altar, his hands trembling slightly as he prepared for the service. The flickering candles cast a warm glow, yet shadows loomed in his heart as he fought to reconcile his faith with the doubts that consumed him. Deep down he longed for a sign, something concrete that could affirm his calling and reignite the fervor he once had. The young priest scanned the gathered crowd, eyes meeting those of Carlo, and for a brief moment he felt a spark of connection, a silent plea for divine intervention. As the Mass unfolded, the rituals felt mechanical to Padre Vitalis. He prayed fervently, the words slipping through his lips like shadows, hoping against hope that this ritual might once again resonate with meaning. The chants echoed, but he could not drown out the insistent questions in his mind. Would his homily touch the hearts of the parishioners? Was his service a genuine offering or merely a performance? Carlo observed the priest closely, feeling a swell of empathy for him. He understood the weight of despair and uncertainty that hung in the air. He too had wrestled with moments of doubt. But he clung tightly to the memories of the miracles he had studied, convinced that something extraordinary could emerge from even the darkest of times. As the priest elevated the Eucharist, a moment of silence enveloped the congregation. Carlo's heart thumped loudly in his chest, each beat resonating with the hope that something divine was about to transpire. He leaned forward, straining to capture every detail, every flicker of emotion on Padre Vitalis's face. Would today be the day that faith took a tangible form? Outside, a gentle wind stirred, rustling the leaves of the ancient trees that surrounded the church. It felt as if creation itself held its breath in anticipation. With the Eucharist poised in the priest's hands, the collective heartbeat of the congregation quickened. Would their long-standing prayers for a revival of faith be answered? In that sacred moment, a hush fell over the church, thick with expectation. Carlo prayed silently, urging a miraculous encounter, an awakening that would guide Padre Vitalis back to the light, back to the unwavering faith he once carried. The church was a crucible of faith and doubt, each person yearning for a connection, longing for the divine touch that could reshape their reality. As the priest stood there, it was as if time itself hesitated. The flicker of hope that had ignited in Carlo's heart sparked throughout the congregation, blending their individual prayers into a powerful collective plea. Little did they know that this was merely the beginning of something far greater, a turning point in their lives and the life of the church. Would the weight of doubt lift? Would a miracle unfold before their eyes, transforming not just the bread, but the very hearts of those present? The air crackled with anticipation, setting the stage for a revelation that they could scarcely comprehend. As the Mass continued, the atmosphere inside the church thickened with both reverence and anxiety. Padre Vitalis stood at the altar, his heart racing, wrestling with an internal storm that threatened to drown out the sacredness of the moment. His fingers gripped the chalice tightly, a stark reminder of the responsibility he bore. The congregation, once a source of comfort, now felt like an overwhelming sea of eyes, all waiting for something miraculous to unfold. The young priest could hardly focus on the prayers he uttered, his mind flooded with the chaotic doubts that had plagued him for weeks. He struggled to recall the power of the Eucharist, the core belief that had once inspired him to embrace the priesthood. The words of consecration echoed hollowly in his ears, seemingly detached from his heart. Like shadows lurking in the corners of his mind, thoughts of inadequacy crept in, telling him he was an unworthy minister of God's grace. Carlo sat in the front pew, caught in the web of tension that radiated from Padre Vitalis. The weight of his doubts hung like a thick fog, clouding the very purpose of the Mass. Carlo observed how the priest's fingers trembled slightly as he raised the host. The bread held high above him, as if it might somehow become the tangible expression of faith he so desperately sought. Carlo's heart ached for him. He recognized that every word uttered, every action performed by Padre Vitalis was an appeal to something greater. Yet the burden of disbelief crushed the light of hope. As the priest began his homily, his voice wavered, lacking the confident cadence that usually marked his words. Instead, it was laced with uncertainty, as he spoke about the importance of faith in one's life, yet he felt like a puppet reciting lines, disconnected from the passion he had once felt in sharing the good news. He glanced over the congregation, locking eyes with the eager faces of the faithful, a mix of the elderly, young families, and teens like Carlo, all filled with longing for a deeper connection to the divine. The parishioners listened intently, their hearts offering silent prayers of support for their troubled priest. They too felt the tension, a rippling current that threatened to shatter the sacred moment. Each face was a testament to their commitment, hope shining through the cracks of anxiety swirling in the air. A mother held her child close, a little girl clutching a small stuffed animal, gazing up at the altar with wide eyes. An elderly man nearby clasped his hands tightly in prayer, his weathered face reflecting an unwavering trust despite the unspoken fears of life's fleeting nature. As he spoke, Padre Vitalis noticed Carlo's intense gaze, full of passion and belief, a stark contrast to the doubts swirling in his own mind. It awoke within him a flicker of inspiration. Perhaps this young boy, so ardent in his quest for spiritual understanding, could be a vessel for the renewal he sought. Yet the more he thought about it, the more he spiraled into self-doubt.
Did he have anything left to offer? Would his crisis of faith prevent him from leading others to the truth he so desperately wanted to uphold? In this moment of crisis, time stretched and folded in on itself, as the words of the Mass blurred together like a distant echo. The anticipation among the congregation grew tensed, like a bowstring drawn tight. They could sense something was amiss, something unspoken that tugged at their hearts. The energy in the room fluctuated, an almost electric current, but the weight of uncertainty lingered heavily, casting a shadow over the proceedings. The priest pressed on, his voice trembling as prayers flowed from his lips. He felt the warmth of the congregation wrapping around him, their faith a lifeline in the tempest of his doubts. Yet the inner battle waged on, drowning out the soothing cadence of the ritual he was meant to embrace. With every moment that passed, the congregation seemed to hold its breath, a collective longing for a release, a confirmation that faith and hope could still conquer the darkness looming in their midst.
Just then, as he moved to prepare the Eucharist for communion, the very air in the church transformed. A hushed silence deepened, wrapping around the congregation like a thick blanket. Carlo could feel it, the whispers of divine presence dancing at the edges of awareness. He leaned forward, the tension palpable within him, his heart racing again as he silently urged for the miraculous, the unexplainable, to emerge from the depths of their faith. Padre Vitalis raised the host once more, his heart pounding against his ribs as he fought to find the connection to the Holy Spirit he had longed for. As he held it high, he could feel the eyes of the community upon him, pressing against him, a desperate hope pushing to the surface. The candlelight flickered as if in rhythm with the collective heartbeat of the church, and for an instant everything stood still. "Lord, I believe," he whispered within his heart, a moment of sincerity breaking through the layers of doubt. The words felt like a lifeline tossed in an ocean of turbulence. He closed his eyes, surrendering himself to God, allowing the whispers of faith to wash over him. The palpable anticipation built around him, tightening like a coil ready to spring. Would surrender lead to transformation? Would the prayers of the faithful pierce through the veil of uncertainty, granting him a glimpse of the miracle they sought? With a rush of renewed determination, he opened his eyes, beholding the host as if seeing it for the first time, a sacred embodiment of Christ's love, waiting to transcend the boundaries of their reality. In that moment, the priest wasn't just performing a ritual. He was standing on the precipice of faith, ready to leap into the unknown where the miraculous awaited. Would that moment count among the countless ordinary days? Or could it become a beacon of hope that illuminated the path for all who gathered within those sacred walls? The church held its breath, suspended in a moment that could change everything. In the stillness that enveloped the church, the air seemed to thrum with a divine energy, a palpable force that wrapped around the gathered faithful like a warm embrace. The congregation, poised on the edge of their seats, could sense a shift, a moment pregnant with possibility. Carlo leaned forward, eyes wide, heart racing, as he felt the weight of expectation coalesce into something more. A beacon of hope glimmering in the depths of his spirit. With a surge of profound purpose, Padre Vitalis held the host aloft, his trembling hands catching the gentle flicker of candle light. The moment felt elongated, as if time had conspired to grant them this sacred pause, a profound intersection between the earthly and the divine. All eyes were fixed on the small white disk suspended in the air, a symbol of faith yearning to transcend into a miracle. The priest's breath caught in his throat as his heart swelled with an overwhelming sense of reverence. He felt a sudden shift, like the world around him dissolved, leaving only the presence of Christ before him. The host transformed, blurring the lines between the tangible and the ethereal. An indescribable light illuminated the altar, bathing the priest and the host in a radiant glow that dazzled the eyes and filled the hearts with an overwhelming warmth. Gasps rippled through the congregation as they began to notice that the ordinary was giving way to the extraordinary. Carlo blinked rapidly, struggling to comprehend what unfolded before him. The host shivered, trembling gently in Padre Vitalis's hands, as if awakening to a life of its own. A heartbeat resonated in the silence, a slow, deliberate thump that echoed throughout the church, capturing the attention of every soul present. Whispers filled the air, blending with the soft gasps of wonder. "Is this real?" A voice trembled from the back, eyes wide with disbelief. Yet the moment seemed to transcend words. The sacredness of it all spoke directly to their hearts. The vividness of the scene was palpable, a tide of awe washing over each member of the congregation. A mother clutched her child closer, the little girl's eyes sparkling with innocent belief as she pointed up at the altar. Padre Vitalis could hardly process the miracle unfolding before him, yet in his soul a flicker of recognition sparked. This wasn't just a transformation of the host, this was an invitation from God to witness the depths of His love, a reminder that the mundane could collide with the divine. His voice trembled, resonating through the silence. "Brothers and sisters, behold the presence of Christ among us." The heartbeat intensified, echoing like a drum of devotion. Each pulse synchronized with the rhythm of dreams, prayers, and supplications offered by the people of Gruaro. Their faith became a collective plea, an outpouring of longing and love that transcended doubt and despair. Carlo felt the energy wrapping around him, lifting him from the confines of mundane existence. Would they finally see him in all his glory? As the light from the altar flared brighter, it illuminated the church, revealing the faces of the community awash in wonder, awe, and absolute faith. Padre Vitalis blinked, his mind spinning, but his heart steadied by a newfound trust. Inside that sacred space, the burdens of solitary belief dissipated. They stood together in shared communion, grasping the extraordinary revelation of Christ's love. "Lord, thank you!" The words bubbled up from within him, erupting into the atmosphere, filling the church with an almost tangible joy. The voices of the parishioners rose to meet his, a chorus of praise echoing off the stone walls, weaving a vibrant tapestry of faith and thanksgiving. A young man, tears streaming down his cheeks, shouted, "It's happening! Look, it's a miracle!" The air thickened with belief, the room charged with a magnetic force that closed the gap between heaven and earth. Carlo, encouraged by the communal joy, joined in the chorus. He understood in that moment that they were no longer just witnesses, they were active participants in this divine intervention. As the beat of the heart persisted, the congregation found themselves caught in a whirlwind of emotions, fear, excitement, and, above all, an overwhelming sense of love. The priest looked at the Eucharist, now vibrant with life, and felt a sense of clarity sweep through him. God was here, present in unimaginable ways that could not be dismissed or doubted. In the very back of the church, a skeptical man who had always viewed the rituals with indifference felt his heart begin to thump in sync with the miraculous heartbeat. He hesitated, torn between disbelief and an awakening faith that grasped at his chest. All around him, the joy and wonder overtook every heart, compelling his own to yearn for connection. The truth of the moment pressed upon his consciousness, shattering the walls he had built around himself. With renewed strength, Padre Vitalis took a step forward, the fervor in his heart igniting his spirit. "Pray with me," he called out, and the congregation echoed his words. Each voice intertwined with another, sending ripples through the church as the parish ignited in prayer.
They weren't just speaking, they were declaring their faith, uniting in a powerful chorus that resonated with every heartbeat.
With each repetition of their prayers, the energy in the church reached a boiling point. The heart within the host pulsed rhythmically, a mirror reflecting their devotion, reaffirming the promise that God was present among them. They stood together, transcending their individual fears, united in their yearning for divine love and mercy. As the miracle unfolded, Carlo felt his senses heightened, aware of every heartbeat echoing in the atmosphere. There was a profound shift in the church, a bond stronger than any they had known before. The miracle of Gruaro was not only transforming the Eucharist, but was igniting a deeper devotion within each soul present. This was more than an event. It was a reawakening of their hearts, a rekindling of the light that had dimmed in the shadows of doubt. In that sacred moment, hope blossomed anew, and faith soared high, unfettered and free. Would this miracle spark a revival not just for today, but for generations to come? With hearts beating in tandem, they culminated in prayer. Prayer that would transcend the moment and ripple into eternity, calling them all to embrace the limitless love of Christ. In this divine encounter, the church existed as something more than a building. It became a sanctuary of transformation, empowered by the miracle they had witnessed together, as they renewed their connections to each other and to the divine. The heartbeat, once a gentle whisper, now thundered, reverberating throughout Gruaro and beyond, forever altering the course of their future. As the intensity of the miracle enveloped the church, Padre Vitalis fell to his knees, overwhelmed by an unshakable awareness of Christ's true presence within the Eucharist. The sight of the host pulsating with life brought tears to his eyes. In this moment of divine revelation, he felt every doubt, every whisper of uncertainty wane into oblivion. The bustling noise of the world around him faded to nothingness, leaving a profound stillness within his heart. "Forgive me, Lord," he whispered, his voice barely audible amid the fervent prayers of the congregation. "I have faltered in my faith, but let me be a vessel for your love and mercy." In that heartbeat of surrender, he recognized the reality of the miracle, something that transcended the limits of human understanding. The profound reality of Christ's love revealed in the Eucharist rooted itself deep within him, and he was forever changed. Around him, the parishioners knelt, their bodies filled with reverence as they participated in this shared moment of communion. Hands clasped tightly together, heads bowed low, they released a torrent of prayer that rose like incense to the heavens. Each prayer resonated with a longing for connection, for forgiveness, and for a deeper understanding of the love Christ had shown them. A rich tapestry of voices wove through the church, bouncing off the stone walls and resounding in the hearts of all present. Carlo, still near the front, felt the weight of emotion pooling in his chest. He marveled at the visible transformation of the priest, who had walked the fine line between doubt and faith, only to fall into the embrace of God's unwavering love. The gentle but steady rhythm of hope echoed within him as he joined in prayer, his voice rising with the congregation's, united in one heart, one faith, and one purpose. Suddenly, Padre Vitalis stood, the fervor written across his face, a mixture of awe and renewed conviction. "Brothers and sisters," he called out, his voice now strong and clear, imbued with the fervency of the Holy Spirit. "Look upon the Eucharist. It is the living body of Christ, present among us. Let this moment be a testament to our faith. Let us recognize His sacrifice, His unending love that calls us to deeper belief." The congregation erupted in a chorus of amens, tears falling freely as they embraced the profound truth of the miracle occurring before them.
Each person's heart beat louder, unified in belief, swelling with a collective yearning for sanctity. They felt a wave of love emanating from the altar, a reflection of the grace bestowed upon them. As they knelt in prayer, a soft light radiated from the host, illuminating the church in an ethereal glow. Padre Vitalis watched as the light enveloped the faithful, transforming whispers of doubt into shouts of joy and celebration. The miracle connected each person in that moment, a firm reminder that they weren't alone in their struggles, but were part of a divine family bound together by faith. In the ensuing silence, the priest began to lead the congregation in the prayers of the faithful, the petitions spoken aloud echoing with the purity of hope. One by one, voices called out their intentions, prayers for lost loved ones, for healing in broken relationships, for strength in their struggles. Each voice was infused with a passionate plea, a longing to be closer to the heart of Christ.
As the prayers ascended like smoke rising to the heavens, the warmth of the Eucharistic heart danced within each soul. It was a moment of profound connection, a revelatory acknowledgement that they were in communion not only with Christ, but also with one another. Padre Vitalis, moved beyond words, knelt again, tears streaming down his face, offering his heart back to God with complete surrender. Amidst the fervor, Carlo, still perched in his spot, reflected on the miracle's impact. His own faith had been ignited in ways he never dreamed possible. He was filled with determination to know the Eucharist more deeply, to share the transformative power of the love he felt bursting within him. He resolved to carry this miracle into the world, spreading its message to those who had yet to embrace such grace. As the Mass unfolded into communion, the faithful approached the altar, now with an awareness they hadn't possessed before. Each individual moved to receive the host with trembling hands and hearts that beat in anticipation. Here, in this simple act, lay the culmination of their faith, a divine connection that they all recognized. Padre Vitalis stood ready, his heart a vessel of grace, as he offered the body of Christ to each person. The body of Christ, he spoke, the words imbued with significance, the warmth of his love washing over them as they received this sacred gift. Each communicant approached, eyes shining like stars, their souls open to the miracle that transcended mere bread. Carlo moved forward, his heart racing as he accepted the host into his hands. Time slowed to a crawl as he gazed at the Eucharist in awe. Here it was, the beating heart of Christ, now within him. Tears spilled down his cheeks, unafraid to spill forth the joy and gratitude swelling inside. He whispered a prayer of thanks, feeling the warmth of community envelop him tight. In that sacred sharing, an electric energy pulsed through the church, as each person fully engaged with the miracle that surrounded them. Love filled the space, forging bonds that would endure beyond this extraordinary moment, a dynamic renewal of faith that would ripple through their lives beyond the walls of the church. After communion, as the congregation returned to their seats, a quiet reverence settled anew. The miracle was not only an event, they had tasted the truest essence of love, and it had reshaped them into something new. Padre Vitalis stepped back to the altar, his heart now alight with purpose. "Let us carry this miracle into our daily lives," he proclaimed. "Let us show the world the love of Christ. Let the joy we felt today resonate in our actions, in our words, in all that we do." And the congregation echoed their agreements, excited whispers of determination dancing through the air. Indeed, the miracle of Gruaro was but the beginning of a legacy explosion of faith and community that would touch generations. They had witnessed it together, the transformation of bread into a heart, the communion of lives ignited into the fire of unconditional love.
an outpour of faith that would inspire them all to be vessels of light in a world that so desperately needed it. Each heart contained the legacy of that sacred moment, woven indelibly together. The door to transformation had swung wide, revealing not merely the miracle that occurred that day, but the promise of what lay ahead in their journey of faith. Every individual now reflected a renewed commitment to embody Christ's love, carrying with them the eternal echo of a heart beating in unison with their own. As the days rolled into weeks, the aftershocks of the miracle continued to ripple throughout the village of Gruaro, transforming lives in ways both profound and unexpected. The church became a beacon of hope, drawing not just locals but visitors from far and wide, each arriving to bear witness to the extraordinary event that had forever altered the spiritual landscape of the community. Dom Giovanni da Mortigliano had taken the lead in conducting a meticulous investigation into the miracle. He gathered testimonies from members of the congregation, examining the experiences that had unfolded since that fateful day. As each story emerged, it wove a tapestry of faith, a rich narrative that echoed the miracle of the Eucharistic heart. Among the stories, a young woman named Lucia boldly shared her journey. Once a troubled soul, burdened by doubt and despair, Lucia spoke of how witnessing the heartbeat of Christ within the host reignited a flicker of faith that had long been extinguished. "It was as if the heart of my Savior knew I was lost," she narrated, her voice steady yet filled with emotion. "And in that moment, I didn't just see, I felt Him calling to me, inviting me back to the fold." Her account resonated with many, echoing sentiments of transformation that had arisen throughout the church.
With each testimony gathered by Dom Giovanni, the magnitude of the miracle grew, awakening latent faith and stoking the fires of devotion among those who had previously wandered. As the investigation continued, word of the miracle reached the wider Catholic community. Bishops and theologians began to express interest in visiting Gruaro to see the miracle for themselves, eager to witness the resurgence of faith that had swept through the village. Excitement buzzed in the air, and the parishioners prepared for the influx of guests, ready to share their stories and the miracle that had become an integral part of their lives. Amidst all the changes, Carlo remained steadfast in his commitment to documenting the ongoing story of the miracle. He found solace in the writing, knowing that the stories he captured would echo for generations to come. The booklet he had created, filled with testimonies and illustrations, had become a cherished possession among the church community. Each page was a reminder of their shared experience, the rich tapestry of lives intertwined through the miraculous intervention they had witnessed. The evening of the bishop's visit finally arrived. The church was adorned with flowers, and the altar gleamed under the flickering candlelight as the community gathered to welcome their esteemed guest. Anticipation hung in the air, mingling with a palpable sense of unity that enveloped the congregation, reminding them that they were part of something greater than themselves. Padre Vitalis stood before the altar, his heart brimming with gratitude and excitement. He welcomed Bishop Lorenzo, a kindly man with a warm smile who walked with an air of humility that instantly endeared him to the crowd. As the bishop took his place at the front, he scanned the faces of the congregation, noting the steadfast hope etched into every line. "Dear brothers and sisters," Bishop Lorenzo began, his voice resonating with authority and compassion, "we gather here not only to witness the remarkable miracle that has unfolded in this very church, but to renew our commitment to the love of Christ that transcends our understanding." He paused, allowing the weight of his words to settle into the hearts of those present. "In this miracle, we see a powerful testimony of God's love and a call to each of us to respond with faith."
With each passing moment, the gathering grew more vibrant as individuals stood to share their own accounts, recounting the personal transformations sparked by the miracle. Their voices harmonized in a chorus of faith, weaving together their individual journeys into a collective narrative of hope, healing, and renewal. As the evening progressed, Carlo felt overwhelmed by the atmosphere of devotion surrounding him. He watched in awe as Padre Vitalis led the congregation in prayer, the rhythmic flow of their voices resonating with the heartbeat that had once filled their church with awe. Each word of devotion became a declaration of their commitment to live out their faith, to be instruments of Christ's love in a world that desperately needed it. With enthusiasm soaring high, the gathering culminated in a celebration of the Eucharist. As Padre Vitalis elevated the host, a hush fell over the congregation. In that moment, they were united, hearts beating as one, enveloped by the divine embrace that had enveloped them since the miracle had first unfolded. After the service, the congregation mingled joyfully, laughter and conversation filling the air as they exchanged stories and deepened connections. Carlo, buoyed by the palpable sense of community, approached the bishop with a humble proposal. "Your Excellency," he said, taking a deep breath, "would it be possible to share our testimonies beyond Gruaro? I believe these stories of faith could ignite hope in others who struggle." Bishop Lorenzo regarded Carlo with a knowing smile, touched by the boy's passion. "You speak wisely, young man. Faith is meant to be shared. We will work together to ensure that the miracle of Gruaro finds its way to every heart longing for hope." Buoyed by the bishop's support, Carlo's heart swelled with gratitude. Together, they envisioned the future, a compilation of writings, stories, and testimonies that transcended borders, uniting hearts in a singular purpose: to spread the message of Christ's love born from the miracle witnessed in Gruaro. As time marched on, the legacy of the miracle took root, branching into various communities and reaching people from all walks of life. Through gatherings and faith-sharing events, Carlo noticed how they began inspiring others to ignite their own passion for faith, encouraging them to recount their stories openly and honestly, transforming lives wherever they traveled. The miracle of Gruaro had become a beacon, its light shining brightly in the lives of many, reminding each individual that God's love knows no bounds. They were called to act as vessels of that love, sharing their faith and impacting the world that surrounded them. In every heart they touched, the miracle sparked a yearning to live deeply and authentically, to embrace love in all its forms, and to foster a community in which faith could flourish. The heartbeat of Christ pulsed on in their lives, imbuing the very essence of existence with divine purpose. And with each passing moment, they continued their journey, hearts intertwined, illuminated by the fiery glow of God's eternal love. As the seasons changed year after year, the miracle of Gruaro solidified itself as a cornerstone of faith within the community. It became a symbol of resilience and hope, an everlasting reminder that love could blossom even in the most unlikely of circumstances. The annual retreats transformed into grand celebrations that not only commemorated the miracle, but also invited new faces to witness the power of faith firsthand. The church was always alive with energy during retreat season, bustling with activity as preparations for the event unfolded. Carlo, now a seasoned leader in the community, organized workshops, outreach events, and youth programs to engage all ages. His passion grew with each passing year. Although he carried the weight of responsibility, the love he felt for his community fueled his efforts. One fall evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky with shades of orange and purple, the church filled with vibrant laughter and chatter. Participants mingled, sharing their stories deemed transformative, weaving a beautiful tapestry of faith and experience. Each individual resonated with the heartbeat of Gruaro, their souls invigorated by the communal bond cemented by love. As the celebratory dinner approached, Carlo could sense a palpable energy in the air. He watched as parishioners decorated the tables, their excitement contagious. In the midst of setting up, Carlo paused to take it all in. The older generations mingled with the youth, sharing wisdom, while children rushed around, their giggles filling the church with joy. That evening, as the festivities began, Carlo stepped into the spotlight, his heart racing as he stood before the congregation. "Welcome, dear friends," he began, his voice strong, echoing off the stone walls.
As we gather tonight, we celebrate not only the miracle of Gruaro, but the very essence of our faith, a faith that has emboldened us to reach beyond ourselves and act as vessels of God's love. As he spoke, Carlo felt the weight of the stories and experiences shared throughout the years, the struggles, the triumphs, and the rekindling of hope. These narratives were more than words. They were the very fabric of a community bound together by faith. The audience listened intently, their hearts open and eager for inspiration. As Carlo encouraged them to share their testimonies, a ripple of anticipation filled the room. One by one, people rose to recount their journeys of faith, recounting how the miracle had rekindled their belief in love and hope. An elderly man with twinkling eyes stood up, his voice quivering with emotion. "Before I found my way back here, I was filled with doubt and despair. But witnessing the love shared by this community has transformed me," he said. "I've felt God's presence alive in my heart, guiding me back to light." A young woman followed, sharing her journey through loss and heartbreak, revealing how the miracle had provided solace amidst her struggles. With every story shared, the bond within the community grew stronger, their hearts echoing as they intertwined to create a symphony of faith and hope. As the night deepened, Carlo felt a wave of gratitude wash over him. In those moments, he realized that he was witnessing something extraordinary. The transformation from individual pain into collective triumph. Each story reaffirmed the community's commitment to be champions of Christ's love, affirming that even in moments of darkness, there exists a beacon of light. As the evening drew to a close, Carlo proposed an exciting initiative. Inspired by the stories shared, he suggested creating a traveling team within the community, a group dedicated to visiting nearby parishes, sharing the miracle's legacy and the stories of personal transformation they had experienced. The audience reacted with enthusiasm, cheering and clapping, eager to take this message of hope beyond the borders of Gruaro. Encouraged by their excitement, Carlo turned to Bishop Lorenzo, who smiled and nodded in agreement. "Let this moment be the start of a new chapter," he declared. "Together, we will carry this miracle into the world and remind everyone that love endures." United by purpose, the community embraced the call to action, pledging to share their stories, ignite hope, and foster faith wherever they traveled. The sentiment grew into a palpable force, binding the hearts of those present in a commitment to take action and inspire those yearning for love and renewal. It was a rallying cry that would ripple through time, a testament to the profound impact the miracle of Gruaro had made on their lives. They left the retreat with hearts swelling with determination, each step resonating with the heartbeat of Christ, driving them forward into the world beyond their village. In the years to come, what began as a singular occurrence became a lasting testament of love and faith, ever bound to the miracle. Each story shared served as a reminder that the essence of God's love was meant to be shared and multiplied, igniting hope in every heart that dared to believe. The miracle lived on, pulsating through the lives of countless individuals, continually inspiring them to be vessels of light in a world desperately in need of love. If you enjoyed this story, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments. To hear the next story, click the box on the left. Thanks for watching.